Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
This is the Legends 34 Sports Podcast with your hosts, K. Reno and DJ Rec.
Alrighty, I guess we're live, Legends 34. I think this is episode 32. We got a lot to cover here. Man, a lot of things have transpired. The Texans, wow. We got the Rockets running on cylinders. And here's a sneak preview here. I guess, let's see here. Share.
What's up, A-Song?
Can you see that? No?
Mm-hmm.
I-45 is that they're calling him. But that's, I guess, a preview of things to come here. Anyway, Rockets, man, they are locked and loaded. They got still need a point guard. You can see it. You can see it. At times, it's very frustrating.
It's been hard to watch. Hard to watch at times, man, because this window that we're in, we can climb through it. But it's some missing pieces. And if you're struggling this hard for your offense to run in the regular season, it's going to magnify in the playoffs. I don't know where they're going to get a point guard from, but they got to get somebody, man.
Yeah, the whole trades, which I wanted to bring up, Trae Young and now John Morant is also the trade winds are swirling around. Well, Trae went to the Wizards, of course.
Yeah, Trae's gone. But I wouldn't have wanted him nowhere. But
I was looking at the stats. Something really did jump out at me. I know the guy was a scorer.
Yeah.
But I didn't know his assist totals were that high.
He had 10 assists
10 a game. Like, wow,
Yeah.
But a lot of turnovers too. But anyway.
And that's what they need, an organizer. That's what they need. The point guard don't have to necessarily be this killer scorer, even though that's kind of the lay of the land with point guards these days. They scoring first. But we just need a guy who can run our offense and have everybody in their right positions and not turn the ball over. I heard Coach Udoka say about a week ago or so, they was interviewing him, and he was talking about how he likes to let different guys handle the ball and kind of initiate offense to kind of get them comfortable doing that. And that's cool. But I just feel like it's going to come back and bite us, because I just feel like while it's good to kind of encourage those guys to improve in that area, because eventually if they do improve, it'll make us an all-around better team. But I guess my old school side is just like certain people don't need to be handling the ball and trying to initiate offense, because the handles are just too raggedy, man. And the decision making is bad. They just turn the ball over. So, I get it, but I don't disagree with Coach Udoka too much. But that was the one piece where I was like, nah, man, certain people don't need to handle that ball too much, man. There's a time bomb ticking.
I mean, I have to add KD's assist totals are probably one of the highest of his career.
Yeah.
He's taken some of the job duties of somewhat being a point, to some extent, but not like the point guard we need, like you said, a game manager.
And a true point guard would make it easier on KD, so he wouldn't have to just give him the ball. See, we kind of fallen into a little pattern the last few games where it's like just give KD the ball and let him just work, and it's working because he's such a great scorer. But I'm not really looking at the regular season. I'm looking at the regular season for improvement, but I'm looking at how that's going to be defended in the playoffs. And it's going to be easy to defend that if we start getting to the ISO too much. So the last few games, the shooting percentage has been down. 3-point shooting been terrible the last 3 or 4 games. And so maybe you could chalk that up to just a shooting slump. Guys got to get better. Dorian Finney-Smith has been reacclimated and getting acclimated into the lineup. And, you can still tell he got a little rust on him. He's not knocking down the shots, but he'll help defensively. But, man, just something's missing, man. I just really think it's that organizer at point guard we need.
Yeah, I agree that the offense would flow better. I mean, they have a few plays that seem to work where they throw it to like a high post and then they lob it over the top with Amen Thompson coming back door. They have these plays that are effective and get easy baskets, but you're so right, man. There's times that the other team they lock in on that and it exposes them like quickly.
And they're pressuring Durant way up high. I realize all of the ball handlers, they're pressuring him way up high, and it's taking so long to get into the offense. If we had a guy that can just that had the secure enough handles, or where they're not even going to try that strategy, then we're not getting into our offense so deep into the clock. But nevertheless, they still the top 4 or 5 team. I don't want them to finish any lower than 4th in the West. The Lakers are playing good, playing above where I thought they would be. San Antonio's playing above where I thought they would be. So those are 2 teams that are ahead of us that I saw us being 3rd, which could still happen. But with OKC and Denver, but we got to get it together. We got to stop losing close games. The Rockets are losing close games, and good teams, championship contending teams, don't lose as many close games as we lose. So we got to tighten it, and we got to stop losing to bad teams, because we're losing to Dallas, we're losing to the Pelicans, we're losing to Portland. You're giving away valuable games that later on in the season, in a tight race in the West, we're gonna wish we had. And those are the things that I look at when I think about viewing my team having the chance to win it all.
Also of noteworthy, right, when you mentioned the West, there's some major injuries that have happened. Jokic now, Anthony Davis. What a time to capitalize. These stronger Western opponents now going to be playing a lower caliber. Rockets could make some headway. Let alone what's going to become of that further down the line for Denver and Dallas. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, Denver's still winning without Jokic.
Right.
Because Aaron Gordon came back. You still got Jamal Murray. You still got Peyton Watson. So they winning. They're like over 500 since Joker went out. And I don't know what Christian Brown situation is like. I don't know if he's back or not yet, but that's another strong piece. When they get whole, Denver gonna be tough, man. Denver could actually, I really feel like they could actually take OKC. They took them to a hard 7 games last year and could have won that series. So I still feel like OKC the best team in the West. I think Denver's the second best. And then after that, it's a debate out of the Rockets, Spurs. I don't put the Lakers up there, but the Spurs are really good. And they have so many.
Without Wemby, they are really good.
When he comes off the bench, they seem to play better. Yeah, that's weird. But
they have him coming off the bench. I mean, this is a whole other discussion. It really is, man. What's going on in San Antonio?
Well, he's hurt. He's been hurt, so they've been having like kind of minute restriction type stuff with it. And ultimately, they're not going to be better with him coming off the bench. That's just something that's been kind of looking like that now. But they just match up so good against OKC because they have those young, athletic wing players that can move their feet and compete with OKC. That I wish we had those kind of pieces. We got a couple, like a man, he can guard anybody. He can pretty much stay with anybody. And Tari is so good in terms of his instincts and his hands, like that great play he made the other night.
Oh, yeah, right. What a play.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Only get his heart broke, I feel for him.
Yeah, at the end, he tried to palm it and put it instead of tip. If he'd have tapped it, it might have had a better chance. But Tari is not as quick-footed as like a man and a lot of the other guys, but he's really got really good instincts. So you got Tari, a man, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jabari. We got length in those positions, but I don't know if the athleticism is there, But shout out to San Antonio, man. I hate to say it, but they really that team is really set up to beat OKC. They give them problems. They beat them 3 times already this year, and they have you got Fox and guys who shoot the lights out like Champagny and those guys. We don't have the shooting, in my opinion. We have to play some hell of a defense because we just don't have the shooters. Our shooting just comes and goes, and Durant is the only guy we can look at in our lineup that you can actually look at every night and feel confident that he's going to be just efficient. Jabbar is getting there, but it's going to be a while.
And you bring up KD and the word efficient, what a better segue, because I had kind of a little thing tonight I wanted to talk about. I was looking at stats, I'm a big stat geek.
Yeah.
And just on a side story, if you will, about Kevin Durant, we're possibly seeing a incredible phenomenon right here in our city happening right before our eyes. And I don't think it's being talked about enough because I went and looked at some of these numbers. And that is just in sports in general, people, we were talking about this off camera about how your body breaks down, you get older, so forth, right? The rigors of the game, right? Well, let's take a look at what we are watching Kevin Durant at 37 years old. And yeah, 37. No, he's not 40, right? Okay.
No.
All right. Let's back up a minute. Charles Barkley, Pippen, Clyde Drexler. A lot of people argue that, especially Rockets fans, especially that Barkley trade, right? People to this day disagree. It was too much for him to bring him here. But we needed rebounding. I get it. Anyway, take a guess how old these players were when they came to the Rockets. Mind you, we got them in the twilight of their career. I mean, Pippen did go on to play for the Portland, the Trailblazers, have some success. But take a guess. Do you know this? I had to look it up.
Yeah, Barkley got here in the 96, 97 season, so he would probably be like 12 years in the league. So he might have been 30. These guys might have been 34, 35 years old when they got here.
32.
Yeah. Really?
Pippen was like 32. I believe Drexler 31.
Yeah, Scotty still had a lot of game when he got to Houston, and so did Barkley. I'm going past Clyde because Clyde was definitely still had a lot of game the way he played on the championship run. But it's always been this narrative that when Barkley, Clyde, and Hakeem came together, they were just these old men. I even hear Barkley say that, but that's not true. They went to the conference finals. They were 2 games away from winning the whole thing, the Stockton shot and whatever. But what I remember about that season, to dispute what people say they were old and washed up, and you could argue past their prime, yeah, cool, but they started that season out 21-2. They was killing it. They were right there with the Bulls in terms of record-wise, So it was a foregone conclusion in a lot of people's minds that, oh, it's going to be Rockets Bulls finally in the final. But injuries kicked in, and they kind of fell off. And if you remember, by the end of the season, they didn't even have the best record. Utah had the best record. See, so if that would have been a game 7 that in that series, it would have been in Utah. Which if the Rockets would have won that game, they would have had to go back to Utah. So yeah, they still had a lot of game left in them. I remember Barkley's return game to Phoenix that same year. He had like 30-something rebounds. You know what I'm saying? And so what they
Suns,
did,
yeah, like 33 rebounds.
Yeah, they split. They just shared the wealth because it's like, okay, all 3 of us now, we don't have to put all the load on Dream. We don't have to put all the load on Dream and Clyde. You got 3 guys that can spread it out. So their averages went down, but they were winning. So to your point about Durant, I think what's happening is in this day and age, in the modern time, conditioning is a lot better. A lot of the great players, they kind of set themselves up to play 20 years now. They set themselves up out the gate to last 20 years. And with LeBron kind of being at the forefront of that conditioning process, spending like $1 million a year on his body and all that, You know, guys are lasting 16, 18 years with their eyes closed. And Durant, being the gym rat that he is always working on his game, always preparing, you know, and I'm assuming working on his body as well. 37 is not old in today's NBA like it was 20, 25, 30 years ago. Guys would even last. You got to understand, Dr. J's last year in the league, he was 37 years old. And they was acting like Doc was just washed up, giving him wheelchairs before the game, and you know, and I remember hearing Doc say in an interview one time, he was like, "Man," he said the only reason he really retired was because people kept asking him when was he gonna retire. You know, so Doc probably could have won another 2 or 3. Calvin Murphy only played like 13 years. Calvin Murphy was like in his early 30s when he retired, you know? So it's like, I know these guys could have went 2 or 3 or 4 more, you know? And then some guys did break down earlier, but today's athlete is just set up to really, really go 15 minimum.
Right.
The greats of the greats, you got a guy like KD playing like this at 37, a guy like LeBron playing like that at 40.
Right. I want to elaborate a little more on this KD phenomenon, but sidestep a moment because you mentioned Barkley and 33 rebounds, which is a great excuse for me to go back and edit in some footage. I once went to an NBA. I guess it's called the when the All-Star game comes to Houston, they have a jam session.
Mm.
I've been to 2 of them. I don't know if you've ever been. Great. Take the kids. I've been to the last 2, right, and filmed them.
Yeah.
And the first one I went to, I forgot what we were doing. The kids were having some event or something, and I look up, and they're interviewing Charles Barkley like, I don't know, 50 feet away from me. You ever have that moment, right? You look at someone, you're gonna size them up or whatever, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, and I think he's about your height.
Yeah.
6'4", right? I don't know what
Yeah.
but you kind of look at it like, and I remember the first thought in my head, this dude got 33 rebounds in an NBA game?
Yeah.
You would think this dude would be some towering guy, but like, I don't know, it was more impressive to see that he's not really that tall, but man, this guy gets after it on the boards, man, and you can see why the Rockets wanted that, you know.
It's 3 things with Barkley. He was super athletic.
Oh yeah.
Super athletic. And if you notice something about Charles Barkley, he got long arms.
Yeah, wings.
Charles Barkley got long arms. So what he lacked in height, he made up for in 3 things: athleticism, long arms, and body positioning. Knowing how to box guys out, wide frame, box guys out. You know, he just was skilled in those 3 areas to where it's like rebounding seemed like just an anomaly the way he was able to do it. But yeah, man, that's a wide frame, man. That's a wide frame. You know, it's kind of like guarding a guy like Adrian Dantley back in the days who like 6'4", 6'5", and he just posting up bigger guys and footwork and strength and, you know, body positioning. And that's what Chuck was just an anomaly. You never seen a player like him before or since, you know. And you compare guys like they try to throw guys like Zion and these guys in the Barkley.
Man can't hold up, man. Body can't hold up, man.
Nah, not right. And that's another thing. You know, those guys, Chuck was real durable. You know, everybody had their fair share of injuries, but Barkley was real durable, and he got a lot of flack for his defense, but he was a pretty solid defender. You know, he ain't a lockdown guy, but you know, like I say, long arms, instincts. You know, so when he got to Houston, yeah, he could. And even same with KD now. Like you look at KD, you could see the only indications of age you see with Kevin Durant now is sometimes on the defensive end in isolation situations, like if he's guarding a quicker guy, you know, and he still does real good, you know, by the numbers, by the statistics. when they compare how guys defend and percentage they get scored on, he's still good, and that they got a lot to do with wingspan, 7 feet tall, knowing the game, knowing angles and all that type of stuff. That make a difference, man. It makes it easier to play defense.
Perfect. So that you talk about KD's statistics, that'll finish off this little segue on Kevin Durant and this phenomenal year we're watching. Mind you, a reminder that this man had an Achilles rupture, right? He is healthy from an injury that for a long time, was a career ender.
Right.
So with that said, right, the 50-40-90 club, which is rare air, people don't know about that. I think we've talked about this on this show, where you shoot 50% from the field, 40% from the behind the three-point line, and 90% from the line, right? This started when they implemented the three-point line in 1980, right? This is rare air. This is where master classmen shooters exist. Nash has done it a couple times, 3 times. Bird's done it, I think, once or twice, maybe just once. I've looked on this very small list. Dirk Nowitzki, I believe. Kevin Durant has done it not once, but when he played for Phoenix and the Nets that year, also a second year. This year, he's shooting 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line, and 89.7 or 8 from the free throw line. He's flirting with this again.
Right.
So for the young people that watch Kevin Durant, you do not understand what you're watching. It's just like literally like you said about Jokic. This man has mastered the game. Kevin Durant has mastered how to get to his spots.
Right.
I was looking at highlight reel, which I'll edit into the clip. He comes across the line. He's either 1-2 dribbles, pull up. Right. He's either 1 dribble, pull up. If maybe 3 to get to his spots, maybe beyond the 3 way. He's trying to get to the high block or whatever. He knows how to get to his spots, and he knows how to get his shots. Right. It is so cerebral when you watch this man, and let alone, it's literally he's a doctorate. He's got a doctorate in shooting right at this point. He's a professor, if you will. And all these Rockets players playing with him are getting this luxury of watching him, let alone him teaching them this skill. Is such a masterclass, and to watch it every night. You know what I think when I watch him? I am so glad he's not playing against us, because he's just that player. It just drives you crazy. Like, this dude is going to get to his spots like Bird used to do, right? You ever heard the stories? He would say, hey, I'm going to go to this spot right here and shoot this shot and hit it. That's pretty much Kevin Durant.
Right.
And we're watching this dude do it at 37 years old. Phillip Rivers coming back? Wow, this to itself is also amazing. Kevin Durant could be a grandfather, right? He 37 years old, man. This is an amazing feat, let alone come back from a major injury like this and put on this master class of shooting he is for the Rockets, our team, and let alone what's on the horizon, right?
I think when you work to master the fundamentals, that type of longevity falls into place, because, like you're saying, he's mastered how to get to his spots. See, when you work on your shot, when you work on your shooting, that's one thing. But if you don't even work on the ability to master how to get the shot off, then it don't matter how good you shoot, because they can take that away from you. He's figured out how to get to where he get to his spots, recognizing that, hey, man, I'm 7 feet tall. Not only am I 7 feet tall, I'm going to elevate, and then when the ball is released, it's way up here. So he is that player who,
or he's fading away, just without separation, right? Fundamentals.
The true sense of the word, it's only up to him to miss. You're not affecting his shot 99% of the time. Every now and then somebody time it and maybe get a piece of it or something like that. But the other 99% of the time, if he misses, if you just watch him play, when he misses, it's hardly ever something that the defense did. Unless somebody may come from weak side and he don't see him. But if it's straight up, but that's like you say, for young people, that's to master the ability, the fundamentals of just knowing where you want to go and figuring out how to get there and knowing that once I get to this spot, you dead. So
You would bring up another fundamental. I'm glad you did because, man, Honey Ball, right? Coach Honey used to say this. If you're a good shooter, even when you miss, it can help the team. But you shooting bricks, you can't rebound bricks.
right.
If you got a good shooter's touch, you got a good shooter's roll, even when you miss, teams can get offensive rebounds. And that's kind of the case you see at times with the Rockets, especially rebounders like my brother Steven Adams.
Yeah. You know,
But,
that's another reason why I don't want to waste this season because you know they rebounding historic rebounding type numbers,
yeah,
man.
58 the other night, yeah.
Yeah,
A loss, I think.
and it's gonna be a shame for this to not materialize into something bigger if they don't figure out a way. It's kind of like the Texans, you know. It's like
I'm missing
you know,
that
this
thing.
historic defense and the offense is the iffy part, you know. So when you look at it, the Rockets are kind of a smaller version of what we're seeing out of the Texans. Solid defensive team, solid offensive rebounding team, rebounding on the whole. But even though their offensive ratings are high and were among the highest in the league early in the season, I don't know where they are now, but I don't necessarily look at the fact that you score. I'd look more at how you score and how easy or difficult it is for you to score. So if I look at a team that seems to just score so easy, the system just is so fluid, I have more trust and confidence in that than watching a team that seems to always, it's a struggle 8 times out of 10 to get a bucket, or we got to luck up and get a tip in. You know, I like to see a more fluid, comfortable offense, man. And we don't have that right now.
And it's worth mentioning, right? I think I texted you this the other night. Jalen Green's played a total of 2 games.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fair, but when you go back and judge this trade, it's like you set it aside a minute and say, wait a minute. Where would the Rockets be right now if he only played 2 games? I mean, there's one thing him playing and not shooting, which we have gone over many times on this show. But it's one thing not playing at all, and he's going through some type of injury. But man, it's food for thought. What if we stayed pat? Where would they be right now?
Well, you know, think about this. Jalen led the team in scoring last year. Okay, that's probably because the system was set up for him to do that. But what I look at with that trade, I don't even factor in Jalen. Where would we be right now if we were able to do that trade without throwing Dylan Brooks in it?
He's having his
That's the one. See, because just say we didn't make the trade and Jalen got hurt. He may not have gotten hurt if he was still his situations happened based on. But if you would have got the version of Dylan Brooks that's averaging 20 points a game now, we'd be fine. Right. Because we were number 2. We were number 2 in the West last year. Number 2 in the West. Now that can still happen this year because the team that are ahead of us is only a game and a half. We can still get to 2. I don't think nobody gonna catch OKC. But I just wish, man, we could have snuck Cam Whitmore in that deal with Jalen. Because I would say this: if we still had Dylan Brooks with KD, I would be like, we can beat anybody. We can beat anybody. You know, but it made me realize, like, man, Dylan Brooks really is a team guy because you could tell now how much of his own offense that he was subordinating in order to fit within a system, whether it was in Memphis, whether it was down here, now in Phoenix, where I can guarantee you at the time of that trade, they were still looking at our 1 and 2 scorers going to be Devin Booker and Jalen Green. Now it's Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks. And I don't think that'll change when Jalen Green gets back. You know, now the shots may decrease, but man, this dude, he don't just score in one way. He'll post you up. He'll go off the dribble, catch and shoot the 3. You know, I mean, run the floor. You know, and I really, really regret that he was in that deal, man. Because we would be a different team if even with Fred out, the point guard situation would still be an issue, but they would be a different team if Dylan Brooks wasn't in that trade.
Speaking of which, there are rumors that Fred VanVleet might be back by the playoffs. We will see.
Yeah, it's still gonna be tough because to ask a guy to come back to miss a whole season and then come back, and then you get thrown right into the highest level of basketball, which is the playoffs. You know, if he's okay, cool, but I don't know, man. I just wish we could get some kind of security blanket to kind of stabilize things, and till he comes back. It takes a guy a long time to come back from that injury, man. And if he does come back, we'll be foolish to expect him to just be the guy he was. The best we could ask would be, okay, Fred, just bring it up and keep everybody in place. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll see.
And before we move on, I think you texted me the other night, and man, what a way to get this off of get our frustrations out, right? And that's about the Rockets commentators, right? You'd mentioned the other night, it's pulling teeth, man. It's like we were so blessed, if you will, fortunate to have Bill Worrell and Calvin Murphy, on the horn, and then Gene Peterson and Foley on the radio. Man, we had it good. We really do. And then it evolved over the time where you had Clyde Drexler on there and had Matt Bullard. By the way, I haven't heard from Matt Bullard in a while. I wonder what happened to him.
Last I heard, he was working in the Rockets front office. I don't know if he still is.
No longer behind the camera, I guess.
Yeah.
But
see, we had, like I said, we had broadcasters that were homers.
Thank you.
I like homers. I don't like these neutral guys. Neutral is for the national television broadcasters. Neutral is for Mike Breen. Neutral is for Richard Jefferson, guys who do national game. Hey, man, I don't need Craig Ackerman looking at the replay going, oh, well, yeah, look like he went straight up and vertical. No, man, forget that. Quit co-signing. And right. I like Ryan Hollins because Ryan Hollins, he got some homer in him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've seen him check Craig one time. He said, oh, come on, Craig. Come on. Yeah, dude, you're a Rockets announcer, man. We don't need you co-sign. If the referee get the call right or the replay get it right, we'll accept that. Because we see it. I saw it. I saw that the call was wrong too, but I'm putting it for my team.
Yeah, that's what made Gene Peterson made a name for himself, and Bill Worrell, all of them.
I said it last time. Gene Peterson, Chick Hearn, Johnny Most, Heinsohn, all these guys, man. Right now to this day, Sean Elliott for the San Antonio Spurs, unapologetic homer. You know what I'm saying? He's Spurs, right or wrong, whatever. And I'm just sick of Craig Ackerman trying to play this neutral game like he acting like he's trying to get a national job.
Right. Come on, man.
So, hey, man, look, man, we pull for the Rockets. Whatever happens, if we get the benefit of a bad call, thank you. Cool. They'll be all right.
And as always, this show is so therapeutic, man.
Yeah, man.
Yelling at the screen. I feel you, right. Man. Yeah. Any other Rocket news? We move on here.
Let's get into this playoff game, man. Monday night.
The Steelers. First thing I want to talk about.
I'm like, why the heck is?
We're playing there, I believe.
Yeah, but why?
40-degree weather.
The NFL is trying to milk and make as much money off this as they can. So they got a game Saturday, got a game Sunday. Now somebody came with a bright idea to do a Monday night football playoff game, and okay, I guess from a business standpoint it makes sense, but I don't like it. But like you said, weather. This brings back nostalgia from the old Houston Oilers days. The one team we was never able to get by and get over the hump against.
Let's see here. I'm going to share my screen again. Let's see. All righty, run that beautiful bean footage.
Oh no, Doug, no.
Starts away from a tie. It is Renfro. Touchdown.
Oh my gosh, man.
Play. Late call. The official did not make any signal. Apparently, said no touchdown.
That bomb boy bomb is
Bum is
incensed.
bum.
He looked down the end zone line to ask a call from the other official. He did not get a call. The officials are meeting now. They're trying to get the players out so they can talk about it. They may have to get a decision from Jim Tunney. Well, we're going to see it on the replay.
Jim
We'll be
Tunney.
able to decide whether or not Renfro got his feet down in time. It was a tough call, and this might be a spot where an instant replay would be important. Let's see if the feet come down now. He's
1, 2.
We'll fast forward here. They're going to show a different angle.
1, 2 with control.
the play.
There's a different angle here. You can see where he catches it. Anyway.
And after
what,
that,
1980?
replay was born. That was like 78, 79, somewhere up in there. Yeah.
You saw that game?
I saw that
I
game
did.
live.
Yeah,
I
that's
watched
before-
that game and I was incensed. As a little boy, as a 9, 10-year-old little boy, I watched it live because he had control and possession and both feet. We had Big Raw on the Underground Dialogue podcast, and he's from Pittsburgh. And I don't know how we got in that conversation. He was like, "Oh man, that wasn't a catch. That wasn't." I was like, "What?" You know, but again, unapologetic Homer. He saw it, he was like, "No, it wasn't a catch," but we know it was a catch. But yeah, we just got bad history with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and somehow we always end up playing them up there. But the only difference between now and historically is that we're the favorite, even though it's only by 3. Weather will be a factor, even though I don't think it's going to be snowing. It all goes down. It's going to all come down to the offense. You know, I'm a big CJ Stroud fan, and but he's going to have to put points on the board. Got to put points on the board. That's just the reality. Confidence in the defense, but Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's a veteran. He's slick. He's experienced. He's smart, and he can beat you. He can beat you. So the defense got to be on point, but we can't have the defense out there just doing what they've been doing all year, and we either not scoring or racking up a bunch of field goals that will ultimately keep them in the game. You know, we got to put some sevens up on the board now.
And it seems to be the plan or the recipe for the past few weeks. Well, they've run off a 9-game, 10-game winning streak, so I can't really isolate, one mode of play over the rest of the season. But it seems they get out ahead early, and it seems to hold it, right? I don't know if they can do this against the Steelers, but it seems to be the recipe, right? Even then it stalls in the later quarters. But
you can't have
I'd rather be ahead than trying to come back, but that's been good. But speaking of the offense, man, we talked about this on the show all the time, and the offensive line and their woes. And well, I got to look. What did the grades come back? Their report card this year, right? They allowed 32 sacks this year. Last year was over 50.
Yeah.
And usually they're at the bottom, of that. This year near the top as far as protecting the quarterback, less sacks. Matter of fact, the last time the Texans had I think 25 sack year was like 15, 16 years ago. So this is refreshing. Now, am I saying that Stroud should be protected and he should get all his reads? Nah, they are still showing, like you alluded to in the later quarters, issues with Stroud either not seeing the right receivers or overthrowing certain targets, or they get the run abruptly stops. These little hiccups, it really gives us some worry going to this game against the Steelers.
Yeah, my biggest knock on CJ is sometimes he holds the ball too long. If he sets his mind for one target, he got to know how to say, okay, this is not available. Let me check down and do something different. That's it. Don't take sacks because you're holding the ball too long. You got to boom, boom, boom. You got to move fast. But also, the running game has got to give us something because the running game can open all that up. If Marks and Jordan, if they're running decent, then it'll open it up for CJ to do his thing. But if Pittsburgh is
I
stifling,
think Jordan might be hurt, high ankle sprain. I think I read. So
yeah,
British Brooks gonna come in.
yeah, and British Brooks looked good in the times that he played. But the key is, if we're getting these 1-2 yard carries every time, man, and we're not able to keep Pittsburgh defense honest with some semblance of a running game, then it's going to be hard, for CJ to get off and do his thing because now they can just load up on the pass. But to your point earlier, the offensive line has improved. They've improved. They showed great improvement. That unit looking good in the last few games of the season. Because in the beginning of the season, it looked like the same tragedy from the last couple of years. But, to only give up 32 sacks is great compared. That's almost 20 down from last year. I think Aaron Rodgers has only been sacked like 29 times this year. So that's right there. So it's going to come down to, like you say, making plays, not missing any play. And when he makes the plays, to not have guys dropping passes, Dalton Schultz and these guys, dropping passes and crap like that.
I'm glad you brought him up because that's also part of the line's improvement. He's a lineman / receiver, and we were praying for that to get the tight ends involved, and it looked like they have done that as well this year. So there's another check mark on that list of that offensive line progression this year. So
there's so much room for improvement from the offense that if by some magical chance they just hit a stride and get hot, matched with that defense, oh man, it could be ugly for the league. But that's a big if, But you still got a brand new coordinator, even though they've had a full year to kind of figure each other out. But you got a brand new coordinator, you got a patchwork line that's starting to get it together, and CJ still having to figure some things out on his own. What scares me is the 9-game winning streak.
Can we just get one L in there?
Yeah, that's weird. But I was saying that a couple weeks. I was like, man, it would have been cool to lose one. As weird as that sounds, because realistically, you got to win 13 straight to win the Super Bowl now. Because by them being a wild card, they got to win 3 in a row to get to the Super Bowl, and they got to win it. So they got to win 4 more in a row to get there because they don't get a bye. So,
well, give him credit, right? That last game could have been that L. They already know that,
they played bad.
Won. They were way up, so they pull everybody. They could have just took that L and went on.
They played bad. The defense played bad. So maybe they can psychologically trick themselves into feeling like that's an L. Because the film is not gonna lie, the tape is not gonna lie when they practice, when they watch the film and seeing a lot of mistakes they made offensively and defensively, they could kind of approach that as an L and be able to tighten some things up because Riley Leonard was popping them with the deep ball, and I'm not talking about the second half.
Over the top, wide open,
and I ain't talking about the second half when they pulled everybody out. He was doing this in the first half. They popped Stingley for one of them. So maybe they can look at that and say, okay, you know what? We need to work on some stuff, tighten some screws up because, Aaron Rodgers is another guy and DK Metcalf is coming back. So that's their deep threat. That's their top receiver. So, but we didn't have Lassiter last week. So Kamari Lassiter comes back, Stingley, Petrie, your secondary is whole. Your front four is whole, your linebackers are whole, everybody's whole. We solid at every position. Just got to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers and don't underestimate the fact that he can still kind of maneuver in the pocket a little bit. Aaron always was good on his feet in his prime, but even now, he's not just no statue back there. you know. So it's going to be a containment situation. They got two solid running backs. Pittsburgh got two solid, Warren and Gainwell. Two solid. Their two backs are better than ours, you know. And so the defense got their work cut out up for, and TJ Watt's back, you know. So we got to see, man. We got to see what's going to happen. I'm not even making a pick. I'm just watching as a fan, hoping.
Well, here's some food for thought, right, for Steelers fans, because I would have never dreamed ever that Baltimore would have fired Harbaugh. I'm still, what? Like, and I understand they're trying to get, you got Lamar Jackson and Henry, like, what's going on here? Like, you're going to have to do better, right? I get that, but Harbaugh, you know what I'm saying? So this is food for thought. If the Texans beat the Steelers, which we hope they do, is this Tomlin's last game with the Steelers? Is all these rumors swirling around? Or are we seeing an end of eras here? Or all these coaches are hitting the door, or what?
That's a good point, because I feel like the loser of the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game last week, I feel like whoever lost, the coach was going to get fired. Yep. You know, they were calling for Tomlin's head about 2 weeks ago in a game. The crowd.
I don't know why. I mean, I don't agree with this at all, but yes.
Well, what happens is expectations start to not be met, meaning that if you look at Harbaugh and you look at Tomlin, you got two of the longest tenured coaches in the NFL at the time before Harbaugh got fired, right? Both have won a Super Bowl before, right? But both Super Bowl wins were a long time ago, right? So the fans, when they get into that "what have you done for me lately" type of mindset, they'll look back at, man, yeah, he did bring a championship, and that championship will buy a coach some time, depending on the organization. The Steelers are a more loyal organization, even though Baltimore is too. The Steelers have only had 3 coaches in the memory of my lifetime. Think about that. When I first started watching football, all I knew was Chuck Noll. That's the only coach Pittsburgh had, and he had been there, and he was there long into my adulthood. And when Chuck Noll left, Bill Cowher took over and coached over a decade, and Mike Tom. They have had 3 coaches in probably almost 60 years. See, so they're a little more lenient. But, and same with Baltimore, Harbaugh had been there, 18 seasons? Something like that. So what happens is you say, okay, that Super Bowl bought them some time, but the fan base started to go, okay, all right, man, that was a long time ago. Maybe we need some new blood. Now, if Tomlin loses to the Texans, but they give a good showing, looks good, or something fluky happened like with Baltimore, the guy missed the field goal.
Yikes.
Pittsburgh should have lost.
Wow. Yeah.
Something like that happens where you can't blame the coach, because that lets you know they kind of been had it on the radar to get rid of Harbaugh anyway, because you can't even blame that on the coach. Just like you can't blame it on Lamar Jackson. The last 3 seasons, somebody else has made a horrible mistake that have cost Lamar Jackson a win in the playoffs. Something just crazy.
MVP seasons, mind you, if not candidates, right?
Now this year was a down year for them and for him. But they still 1 field goal kick away from making it into the playoff. And side note, I was so glad that dude missed that field goal, because I did not want the Texans to play Baltimore.
Right.
I didn't feel good about that at all, to have to play Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the first round on the road. You know, I'll take my chances with Pittsburgh. But yeah, Tay Flowers dropped the pass 3 years ago. Mark Andrews drops the 2-point conversion right in his hand, and then this year the guy misses the field goal. So I don't blame that on Lamar. And even though you can nitpick certain things throughout the season, certain games where coaches may have made a mistake, hey man, they one win away, and this guy's coaching this week. So
Could
we'll
be some
see.
strange developments, after these playoffs clear.
Yeah, and if Tomlin wins, if they beat the Texans, that probably buys him another year. That probably buys him another season. They just don't like to fire coaches in Pittsburgh, and I'm cool with that to a degree. If you got a good, solid coach, when I look at Mike Tomlin, I just don't think that he's had the pieces to be successful, and he's still doing a great job to never have had a losing record and to always make the playoffs pretty much every year. Every year, Harbaugh, I would lean more towards understanding why they fired him, because you got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So it's like you got these two guys. No way you should be in that situation, but Lamar was hurt a lot of this season. So it is what it is.
Yes, he was. He was on one of my fantasy teams.
Man.
Comment, Lamar.
Yeah. I mean, and like I say, they didn't have Davis Mills to go 3-0 like we did, because we could have been in that same situation. When CJ sit out those 3 games, if Davis Mills loses those 3 games, loses 2 of them.
Yeah, we get the Davis Mills from last year. Yeah.
Yeah, Davis Mills, what he normally is. Yeah, but he did his job as a backup quarterback. He did exactly what a backup is supposed to do. They played 2 bad teams that he was supposed to beat, and then he played a really great game. Well, we played a good game and beat Buffalo. The defense got 8 sacks on Josh Allen, so that helps. But he gets credit for that win. So, yeah, I mean, what would be a shame, what you don't want, is to have a Texans team who went 10-7 the last 2 seasons, went to the playoffs, won division, went to the playoffs, won a playoff game in both seasons at 10-7. What you don't want is to be 12-5
on a huge
have
winning
a better
streak.
record, and then get knocked out in the first round. So you want improvement. So the record looks great. Like, man, we went from 10-7 to 12-5, but we started out on the road. Maybe that's the formula they need, because usually the Texans start off at home and get that comfortable first win, and they got to go on the road, and it's a shock. Yeah, let's start off in the bad conditions, and if they win that game and somebody else would lose, maybe they get a home game the next week. Things got to line up, So we'll see.
As we anticipate Monday Night Football, huh?
I don't know why they did that.
They get the grandest of the brightest lights and the loudest microphones. They get the whole panache,
Yeah.
the biggest stage of all.
It's cool. Give us an extra day of rest.
But the last time that happened was the Bills game, and we totally destroyed the Bills. So
but also get out there a day or 2 early, practice in that weather. Get out there and practice in that weather. Get used to it, and just get your mind right, because it's going to be mind over matter. Get your mind right. But C.J. Stroud plays really well in the playoffs, historically, in the short sample sizes that we have. People don't remember, C.J. Stroud played great against Kansas City last year, but the referees played better.
Yep.
Obviously, he played great in the 2 wins that he had last year and the year before. Didn't play so good against Baltimore, but
and of course, throwing touchdowns from your knees to Travis Kelce helps too.
Yeah, but a couple of unnecessary roughness calls that wasn't even close to that. Flopping out of bounds, acting like he got hit like this basketball, and the referees falling for that. A lot of those things were momentum killers last year, man. That could have kept the momentum in our favor, because one of those were 3rd down, and they would have had to punt, and they called that flop, and they called it unnecessary roughness, and they came right down and scored a touchdown. So all those things in a close game.
And it feels, as Houston fans, it feels like we're whiny Houston fans. We're just plagued with these, Renfro we just watched, and Don Beebe, and these plays, the comeback from the Bills. again, it feels good to say, to repeat, the Texans destroyed the Bills. Man, it feels so good to say that.
Well,
But
the
some
only,
playoffs has always seemed like some referee job,
yeah,
something happens, right?
yeah, but the only thing about that, I enjoyed that game too, but the Bills, we might have to see them again.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
have to see them again. Josh Allen is he's the only quarterback. Now, don't get me wrong, man. The AFC is wide open. You know, the Broncos could come out, the Chargers could come out, you know, Texas could come out. It's wide open, but Josh Allen is the one dude who people would generally say, man, it's his time. They're looking at Josh Allen like no Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson. It's his time. The only hindrance to Josh Allen going to the Super Bowl has been Pat Mahomes. And it was never Josh Allen's fault. Josh Allen would play these amazing games, and just something would happen where there's still 48 seconds left and Mahomes gets the ball last. Something like that. So it's never been Josh Allen's fault. So the general consensus is, well, this is his year with all those guys out the way. We just have to make sure that it's still not his year. But, you know, we need some of those other guys. The good thing about those teams I named, we don't have to play all of them. Some of these guys are going to knock each other out the way. You know what I'm saying? So Denver with Bo Nix and Justin Herbert, who we handled them, but Justin Herbert looked good. At the end of that game, in the second half, it's like he was figuring some stuff out about the Texas defense. So I love to see some of those teams get bumped off, man. I love to see somebody bump Buffalo off. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's the Jags, huh? I gotta look at this.
They play the Jags. Buffalo
I'm
plays
not sure. Don't
Jacksonville.
quote me on that.
If Buffalo plays Jacksonville,
it might be the Patriots.
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm not. And I could be wrong, and I would hate myself if I was wrong. I just don't believe in Jacksonville like that. I know they won the division. I know they
got hot too. Yeah, just like us.
I just don't have the confidence in them. I feel like we beat them, you know, and especially, you know, whatever would happen, we'd have to go to Jacksonville if it came down to it. The weather won't be an issue because it's gonna be nice and warm out there. But I don't fear Jacksonville. I fear Buffalo. I fear the Broncos, and I kind of fear the Chargers. Man, that's all saying if we get past Pittsburgh, because I respect Pittsburgh. But I'm just saying in the event we get past them, I fear those three. I don't have no fear, and I don't know enough about the Patriots to know if I should even fear them. I know they got a young quarterback, Drake May, but inexperience may hold them back. They may lose their first round.
Patriots have looked good on paper, but you look at the schedule, they can only play who's on their schedule. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying they ever really played really good competition, but they have played more of a weaker schedule than say us, the Texans, or hell, the Ravens, right? So
who got the bye week in the AFC? The Patriots?
Yes.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, Patriots and I guess Denver is the other team with the best record.
Yeah.
Kudos to them. They've had a great year. I never would have guessed Bo Nix would, acclimate this fast, but he almost had a 4,000-yard season this year throwing. By the way, of honorable mention, Caleb Williams almost did too.
Yeah.
I have to look this up, but I think he had one of the highest throwing yardages any Bears quarterback has ever had. I don't know if you know. No Bears quarterbacks thrown for over 4,000 yards in a season. And he came very close, even with 17 games. But
the Bears have never had.
I guess I'm saying the league is in good hands, huh?
Yeah, the league's in good hands, but it got to be sustainable. Look at the kid from Washington, what he did last year, making it all the way to the NFC Championship game, and even though
he got hurt again. That was so sad.
Yeah, but he came back. I mean, the thing is, and this is where a lot of people don't give C.J. Stroud the credit that he deserves. It's like people have this notion, like I don't know what people had this notion where C.J. Stroud was just supposed to win the Super Bowl every year, but out of all of that crop of young quarterbacks that have come in, none of them have been more consistent than him. As far as 3 seasons, 3 playoff appearances, 2 division wins, 2 playoff wins. A lot of those guys who come out have a great first year and they fall off, or even going back to when Trevor Lawrence had that great run that time in the playoffs, and then maybe a couple of years in a row they didn't make the playoffs, but CJ gets all of this flack when he's doing things that, if you look at a lot of the records, I think he just got in the record books. He was only the second person to do this behind Elway. Something that he did. CJ Stroud deserves a lot of credit, man, and they're just not giving him his credit. He's had to deal with changing the offense coordinator, one of the worst offensive lines in the league the last two and a half years, and still managing to find a way to win divisions and win playoff games. And then, like I say, in 3 years, he got the same amount of Lamar Jackson haven't done much more than CJ Stroud, and just being real about it. I remember for a lot of years, Lamar couldn't win a playoff game, and they was really starting to question him behind that when he finally broke through and got a couple of wins in recent years. So, all this CJ hate come from people who don't look at the numbers, or they don't want to look at the numbers. They already have a prefixed dislike for him for whatever reason, because I don't know what the expectation was his rookie year. I remember them not being predicted to make the playoffs his rookie year. Then last year, okay, he may have dropped a little bit in his personal production and still did the same thing he did the year before in terms of getting to the playoff, winning division, and getting a win. So I just want to get a man his props, and hopefully he can put together a signature performance and get us to this next round, and maybe luckily luck up and get a home game next week.
Worth mentioning, it could have been Bryce Young.
And that's another.
And I have to give him kudos, man.
Bryce Young.
And I always said he was too small.
Yeah, but
any critique of some guy of his stature playing quarterback, but he is acclimated, man. And I think they're in the playoffs, right? Yeah, they got a playoff game.
Bryce Young turned it around in his third year.
That's amazing. Man. I give him credit, man.
He's not with CJ, and I'm glad we picked the quarterback we picked. But you got to, like you say, you got to give Bryce Young his credit because, they did bench him like last year before last. But whoever decided to bring him back and give him a fair shot, he's showing. And then you got to have pieces around you, man. You can't just throw the man out there with anything. If he got some pieces around him, some decent defense, it ain't just no guarantee this man gonna be a bust. So he's small, but we've had some small quarterbacks that have put up numbers, and we've had 1 or 2 that have won it all. Drew Brees was considered a small quarterback.
Drew Brees, yeah, man.
And even Doug Flutie, though he never won, Doug Flutie would put up numbers, So it could be done. Like I said, I'm glad we got who we got, but I'm not giving up on Bryce Young, man. I think he got a good future, good career ahead of him.
Yes. Anything else on the Texans before we close this out?
No, I think that's it, man. We got to get this dub tonight. By the time this airs, we'll know if the Rockets have already got their revenge on Portland.
Speaking of which, Danny Avdija, wow. Yeah. And he's been in the league, this is 6th or 7th year? Yeah, another guy that's really come along and got a bag, man. Wow.
Yeah, he's a star. They couldn't stop him, man. This dude just going downhill, just scoring at will. I hope they make an adjustment to kind of neutralize him, because outside of him, they don't really have much else. Shaden Sharp is a good player, and they got a couple of guys, Kamara and a couple of those guys that are good, but he basically beat the Rockets by himself the other night because he just did what he wanted to do and ended up with like 40-some points. So they got to figure out a way to contain him. I would have liked to seen Amen Thompson on him a little bit more, even though he's a bigger guy, but I think Amen could have did a better job on him or trap him and get the ball out of his hands. But he's a star, man. He's a star.
Man, textbook mechanic, his shot, man. Wow.
Right.
Great looking mechanics on his shot.
I'm interested.
Got a quick release. He's impressive at 6'8".
Dame Lillard back into that young group. when he comes back next year, how is that going to work? Because Dame has always been a man for that team, but Dame may have to take a back seat, kind of just orchestrate. Yeah, just orchestrate and just be there when you need them, because those young guys are, they coming in. Tiago Splitter doing a great job, taking over that team. Chauncey Billups being in the situation he in. So
Right, I'd forgotten about that. That
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
spelled
Splitter.
disaster for what they're trying to do, and
And they right there. They
pick up
like
the pieces, man.
they're like a couple of games under 500, like 18 and 20. So they right there in that play-in position. So Portland, man, and like I say, with Avdia looking like, because you said, well, they just need a star. Looking like they got one. So you throw Dame back in that mix next year, and with some of those young guys, they come up, a third guy emerge. Gotta look over the shoulder at Portland.
Well, I guess we're going to end this off on the Astros news. They got a brand new pitcher from Japan, Tatsuya Imai. I think I'm getting that wrong,
Yeah,
but they're calling him I-45 because he wears the 40.
yeah.
And I heard he already got a grill with Parwal. I mean, he's making his rounds already, right?
He made his
Acclimate
rounds.
to the H.
He came to a Texans game and they won. He came to Rockets game and they won. So we need to fly him up to Pittsburgh and to see if he can spread some good vibes. But yeah, I mean, don't know a lot about him. Heard he's pretty good over there. I did hear about a few little situations where he, may have to acclimate to the hitting in the major leagues because of speed or whatever. But they saying he's gonna be a good one, But so we got to see. But they definitely need pitching. Pitching is the key.
And I can't help but mention before we go, because I'd mentioned this to my daughter, and it sucks to pull the race card, but all those years, the Astros with the Clayton, kind of snowballed it out there, all that whitewashed roster. I don't know what else to call it, but now that that's changed, it's more diversity out there on that field. That the scouts, from when if you remember this, Barack Obama lifted the trade embargo at Cuba. Astros were right there signing Gurriel, right? Like, and in the ripple effects all the way to today, they now players from Japan, right now. This is what makes great baseball teams, man. That you can scout the globe and not just one. I hate to say ethnicity, but window of type of players, right? It seems, and I could be wrong, but it seems that's what the Astros were for a long time. Till now, you see results, man, and you open your eyes, open mind, real true athletes, people that can really play at this high level of baseball out here on the Houston Astros baseball field, right? So
if you want to win, go get good players.
Right.
Go get good players, whether they black, white, brown, green. Go get the best player. It's the same thing that the NBA is doing. They've been doing for years with the European influx. It's like if you name the top 5 NBA players in the league, 3 or 4 of them are going to be international players, whether it be Luka, Joker, Giannis. So you go and get what's going to make your team better. And I can remember those years. When the Astros didn't have any black players, or maybe had one black player on the whole squad, and it was just like, okay, y'all don't really want to win, It's like so, but so now this new regime was coming in because for many years I was an Atlanta Braves fan.
Yikes!
Because of that.
Say that. All right, I'm stopping this broadcast right now.
Hey, man, look,
what?
I can't lie. I crossed over because. The
ghost of Bobby Cox still haunt me. Stop it.
I would look at the Braves and I would be like, man, we got Dave Justice. They got Fred McGriff. We got Ron Gant. We got all these players.
Tom Glavine, Maddox.
Yeah, but we of course the pitchers. But I'm looking at the brothers that they had because I was like, man, we got a lot of brothers on the team with the Braves. But then I would look at the Astros and outside of maybe Derek Bell and with the Killer Bees, and like, so I was like, okay, cool. It seemed like it was intentional at one point, and I'm like, well, y'all, you don't want to win, you don't want to win,
right?
Yeah, but now, even when you look at players that they would consider to be Latin players, or like the Dominican Republic and all, them brothers, Jordan, Fromber. If you just seen them walking down the street, you saw Jordan in the mall, you're gonna be, that's a brother right there, So that's all it is, But you get what's gonna win when you're bringing in Imai, the pitcher. You get what's gonna win. We don't have Yankee money, we don't have Dodger money where they can go out and get Shohei Ohtani and pay these guys, all these different guys, all this money. But if we got an opportunity to do it, and we've won twice within the last decade, the last 10 years, we won and been to like 4. So the Astros, even though they'll never get that credit because of the scandal and all that, but in the last 10 years, in the last 8 to 10 years, we've been the most successful franchise in baseball.
Correct.
You make it to 4, win 2. Hey man, that's almost half a decade of, and the times you don't make it to the World Series, you made it to right before it. This is the first year they didn't make the playoffs in forever. So we've been the most successful franchise without those big budgets, without that big machine behind us. But you gotta keep adding to it, and hopefully this will help.
And have a hell of a farm system, which they do.
Yeah.
Right, man. I guess this is going to bring us on home here. Unless you got any other announcements coming up, shows?
No, that's
releases?
it. I think you're good.
Well, I guess this is going to be the end of this particular episode. Until next time, Legends 34, we are out.
Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
This is the Legends 34 Sports Podcast with your hosts, K. Reno and DJ Rec.